Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you. We are just going to start in another minute. Cece's coming on. I see Louis. This I'll never get over it. This is like romper room all over the place. Nice to see you guys. Ben, if we started, that's great. Our recording experience. If you want to just unmute yourself just to say Happy Hanukkah to the crowd.
Happy Hanukkah!
Happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Nice to see you.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Happy Hanukkah to the crowd. Hey, Regina.
Hey, Ellen. Good seeing everybody.
Good seeing everybody.
So nice. We're just going to ask you to mute yourselves so we're not singing on top of each other. We'll settle in with a nigun for this month of Kislev. We are still in. Erev Tov, everybody. It's wonderful to gather on this second night of Hanukkah. You know, you can light the candle anytime during the roughly 24-hour span of the day. But in Jewish life, we have a concept known as lehizdareh. Lehizdareh is lasot et mitzvah. We want to hurry. We're anxious to do the mitzvah. So if the sun's going down, let's light. Get your candles in place. And in a moment, we will read. Ben, if you can spotlight Regina Lobry. Regina is our reader for this night. And if you want to find on our temple website on the live stream page, we have the readings that we're doing each night. A slight edit for tonight's reading because there was an extra paragraph added in. They won't apply. But we have the readings that are online as well as songs and blessings are up there also that you can have. So, Regina, when you are ready, just make sure you're unmuted and the reading for this second night of Hanukkah.
Reflective of living a life as a minority, often persecuted over the centuries, the rabbis teach in Numbers, Rabbah 19, that the nations of the world are constantly bothering the Jewish people about the logic of the Torah and the commandments. Of course, some commandments cannot be explained logically. Doing the ones that are least logical requires the most faith. It is only by faith that the Jewish people live and survive as a nation. Some of the worship in the Holy Temple was understood by the nations. They understood the sacrifices were brought to atone for sins or to express gratitude, but they couldn't find a reason for the lamp, menorah, in the temple. Does God need light, they asked? Lighting the menorah was the least logical worship into temple, and therefore the one needing the most faith. It was this very lamp that symbolized the devotion that the Jewish people had to the Torah and commandments of God. And it was therefore the most suitable instrument for the miracles that also symbolized God's closeness to the Jewish people.
Thank you. And thank you for the work of the sisterhood and all that you do for our community on a regular basis. We're very grateful. And tonight during our Hanukkah candle lighting, we're having different groups. There are others, my goodness, so many that we could draw from. but each one reflective of some of the work that individuals and the groups together participate in to help make our community what it is. On a holiday that is about gratitude, which Hanukkah very much is. It's about gratitude and it's about praising God. Miracles that we think about, the things that we have to be grateful for within our very own circle. We have candles to light. So if you want to go ahead and light your shamashes, and we'll start singing the blessings in just a moment. Tonight we have the two blessings. The first for the commandment of lighting the lights of Hanukkah, and the second for the miracles that God has done for our ancestors at this time of year and many years ago. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem b'hazman hazeh. And the song that you'll find on the second page. Ma'osur Yeshuati L'chana L'shabeach Tikon B'tefilati V'sham Toda Nizabeach Le'tachin Matbeach Mitzar Hamnabeach Az Egmar B'shir Mizmor Chanukah Tamizbeach Az Egmar B'shir Mizmor Chanukah Tamizbeach. Rock of ages, let our song praise your saving power. You amid the raging foes were our sheltering tower. Furious they assailed us, but your arm availed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us. Ma'asur, there's several verses to it, actually, and it's attributed to someone whose name is Mordechai. How do we know that that's it? Because if you look at the stanzas, as was a custom, certainly during the Middle Ages, among people who wrote what are called piyutim, religious poems in Jewish life, that they would embed their name in the first letter of each stanza. And so Mordechai, it's clear that the person's name was Mordechai, but we don't know. And it could be, some have guessed maybe kind of like 11th century. Some have talked about the 13th century. The couple of people that they kind of peg it to. Either way, it's more than likely related, and it comes out of Europe, related to the Crusades, and noting how we have weathered various tyrants and people who have come to defeat us, and we will muscle through what comes our way. With dreidels on our mind. On the third page rather, we have a couple of dreidel songs. Sivivim. You're going to see this one has an English verse to it too. It works reasonably well. The rhyme is a little funny. Sivivim, so, Hanukkah, uchatov, Hanukkah, uchatov, Sivivim, so, Chag Simcha Hula'am, Nes Gadol Haya Sham, Nes Gadol Haya Sham, Chag Simcha Hula'am. Let's try it in English. Sivivim, turn and turn, while the lovely candles burn. What a wondrous holiday! Watch us sing and dance and play. Tell the story full of cheer. A great miracle happened here. It's a holiday of light for 8 days and 8 nights. Sivivim, so, Hanukkah, uchatov, Hanukkah, uchatov, Sivivim, so, Chag Simcha Hula'am, And while we're talking about dreidels, it couldn't possibly be a night of Hanukkah without I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, now dreidel I shall play. It has a lovely body with legs so short and thin. And when it is all tired, it drops and then I win. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. My dreidel's always playful, it loves to dance and spin. A happy game of dreidel, come play now let's begin. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. We can take some requests if anyone wants to make it out of anything special. You know, we always have the famous, I have a little dreidel, I made it out of plastic. And when I went to spin it, oh man, it was fantastic. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of plastic. And when I went to spin it, oh man, it was fantastic. Is there anything in the chat that's showing up? You can unmute yourself and throw something in there. We're taking requests for one. Anything? I have a little dreidel, I made it out of mud. And when I went to spin it, it fell down with a thud. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of mud. And when I went to spin it, it fell down with a thud. Nothing? No requests? All right. We can go on like this for hours, but we won't. Light One Candle is a favorite song. We will do Light One Candle one night. Absolutely. Thank you, Claudia. All right. Talking about dreidels and luck and opportunity. The raffle awaits us. Shayna Heilbrunn, thank you for being here. Thank you for the work of the fundraising committee. Ben, you are spotlighting her and we are got it going on. Look at unmute yourself, Shayna. We are ready to hear.
All right, I'm gonna pass it to Lynn for the explanation.
Lynn, thank you.
I was going to say to make the dreidel out of a raffle ticket, but that seemed like maybe that was going to be too hard. So tonight's raffle winning offering, I should say, is a watercolor print and a wool felted tote bag generously donated by our own Fran Page and Jillian Page. Thank you very much to them. And again, for everybody, tickets are still on sale for the other items. So please go on and look. If you have any trouble finding where they're on sale, you can contact Ben Breakstone. You can contact me or Shayna, or go and look on the email where you found the Zoom link for tonight. The website is on there too. So anyways, but here is Shayna with our wheel.
All right, here we go. Can you guys all see the wheel?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Big winner. Hope it's you. Jackie Friedman. I think they're on.
That's great. Congratulations, Mazel Tov, Jackie.
Yay,
Congrats.
Jackie.
Thank you, Lynn, for what you guys are doing for putting this together for us. And thank you to everyone who's been buying tickets. And indeed, you can still buy tickets. And we, as you saw last night, Ben, thank you very much for sending out a recap of the night. And we'll have a link in there if you want to buy tickets for the coming nights. I'd like to mention tonight, in particular, it is the 29th of November. This doesn't always happen this way, but Hanukkah is early this year. And so we're having the confluence of a day for which many streets are named in Israel, Kaf Tet B'November. Kaf Tet B'November. Remember that every Hebrew letter has a numerical equivalent. So if we take Kaf and Tet, we get 20 plus 9 is 29th, B'November. Probably able to translate that. Kaf Tet B'November is the 29th day of November. Why might there be streets named after that in Israel? Because it was on the 29th day of November in 1947 when the United Nations approved what came to be known as the Partition Plan, or was known as the Partition Plan, by which the land of Israel would be divided and to be preparing and to have two states, what they called an Arab Palestine and a Jewish Palestine. It was a bad deal for everybody. It was not a great setup for anyone who was going to be living there, but it was a compromise. And compromises tend to mean that we're going to give something up in order to get something in return. As we well know how the last 74 years have played out, but particularly in that time from the 29th of November, that the Arab nations around immediately pretty much launched the war. We think about the Independence War as not starting until the 5th of Iyar, for which there are streets and plazas named in Israel as well. The 5th day of Iyar is Israel's Independence Day, which is in May. But really the war started immediately. In the streets, though, and there were places where Jews here in the United States and certainly in Israel were dancing and celebrating. And they were among the things they were dancing to is Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, words that come from our liturgy that celebrates when we made it across the sea on the dry land and coming out from Egypt. And there it is, those words are embedded in Torah. And when we take the first letter of those 4 words, Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mem, Kaf, Bet, Yud, we get Maccabee, which is kind of a nice trick, but it's a reminder of the ongoing miracles and wondrous deeds for which we are grateful. Ki Immanuel, because as Isaiah says, because God is with us. Doesn't mean that we're always going to have good things happen. It means that God is with us wherever we go on our journeys, when we are in exile, when we're dealing with suffering, and so too when we are celebrating moments of gratitude and things for which genuinely there are things to be celebrated. The words of Utsu Etzavet Tufar, they come from the book of Isaiah, are on page 4 of our prayer booklets. Others may come and scheme against us, but their plans will not prove possible because God is with us. Utsu Etzavet Tufar. Utsu Etzavet Tufar, Utsu Etzavet Tufar, Dabru Dabar Belo Yakuki, Immanuel. Utsu Etzavet Tufar, Dabru Dabar Belo Yakuki, Immanuel. Utsu Etzavet Tufar. And given that it is the 29th of November, and we're remembering that quite miraculous day when the opportunity for statehood came into become reality, that it would turn, that we could have sovereignty back in our people's land for the first time in 2,000 years, a hope that we had pined for since the destruction of the Second Temple in the year 70 by the Romans, and really the revolt that happened again. There was a revolt from 132 to 135 by the Jews against Rome, and it's at the end of that revolt that the Romans squashed us. That's when they changed the name. They no longer want to call it Judea for the Jews who were living there. They decide to name it after the Jews' enemy from the Bible, the Philistines. And how do you say Philistine in Latin? It's Palestina, and that's where the word Palestine comes from that we know of to this day. That's why Jews who were living in that area often talk about Jewish Palestinians. It sounds a little funny today, but that's if you had been a Jew living in the land of Israel in the 1920 or 1930, you would say you live in, at the time, British Mandate Palestine, and you were a Palestinian Jew. Please God, there will come a time that indeed the Palestinian people, the Jewish people, that we indeed can have a sense of self-determination and respect of self-determination for one another. Our ancestors had the menorah, as the reading mentioned that Regina read tonight, of the menorah as this perfect symbol of light, obviously, but of God's presence with us. And the menorah that was the symbol and so important for both the first and second temple periods, that becomes the emblem for Israel's for the state. And that's why you have the emblem I've described a little bit in the booklet, and the olive branches that are next to it are very significant, based on a reading from Zechariah, the prophet, whom we read on the Shabbat of Hanukkah. May we indeed experience freedom within Jewish sovereignty of our own era. We thankfully have a modern state to welcome and to bring our people together from the four corners of the earth. May all who dwell within her borders know safety and security, peace and happiness. If you'd like to stand, please feel free to do so. I am seated just because it's a little tricky to stand and be on screen at the same time. The words of Hatikva, our people's hope. By the light of the candles, we sing. Kol od balevav penima, nefesh yehudi holia, ulevatei mizrach kadima, ayin letzion Sophia. שנות 2000 להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון בירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון בירושלים. Among expressions that the Maccabees would have understood clearly is Lihiot Am Chofshi Ba'artzeno, Eretz Tzion V'Yerushalayim, to be a free people. That is exactly what they were fighting for, to be a free people in our own land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. I wish you all a Chag Urim Sameach, a wonderful night of Hanukkah tonight, filled with much light. We have the light of our Hanukkahot. If you scroll through, how fun to see everybody's lights. If you want to unmute yourself and just wish everyone a happy Hanukkah, and then we're going to close off our recording. Cynthia, look at your head lighting up. Is that
You told me to get a Hanukkah schmatte for my head, and this is the best I could do.
You not only did well, you like nailed it.
Ta-da! Hey Ben, can I spotlight?
Sparkling brains.
Yeah, turn off spotlights. And
Cynthia, you could be in the Hanukkah Chabad parade down in South Florida in the cars.
Oh, there we go. Isn't it great? I actually thought it was going to light each candle. Light each candle. Oh, that's another day. There we go. But I did it. Your wish and Amazon is made it happen.
That's great. Love it.
Princess Hanukkah.
Love it.
Bruce and Ben, you're going to get to see it. Happy
That's great.
Hanukkah, everyone.
Happy
Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
Good night.
Happy Hanukkah.
So, see you. Bye.